Hey everybody, it's meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. Who's going to get a foot of snow? Hey, we've had light snow throughout the day, and here in parts of South Moorhead, 1.5 inches sticking on the grassy areas. It's melting in the streets. That's the good news. Some areas not so lucky. The main event is yet to come. As our winter storm warning begins shortly, I'm expecting some very significant snow across the valley. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the nation, a chance for an outbreak of tornadoes and severe weather over the next couple of days. Details are coming up right now. All right, did you know that my friends at Robert Gibb and Sons have preventative maintenance for you and your equipment? And also, you can see if you're eligible for up to a $2,000 tax credit on select upgrading heating systems. Give Robert Gibb and Sons a call today. Please let them know that Hutch sent you. Let's get right to what's going on here right now across the nation and the forecast. We're starting with the forecast. Now, as we truck through time, we do have some wild wintry weather making its way through. Here is a look at the evening hours tonight at 7. I've been saying for the last day or two, be where you want to be between 6 and 10 o'clock, depending on where you are, and the onset of the winter storm warning begins. So here's this little band of light snow shower activity that's been with us throughout the day, and it has dumped up to 6 inches of reported snow down in Watertown, South Dakota. That heavy snow pushing down to the south. Here's the main event. Low pressure moving into Pierre and points south. You can kind of see this backwards counterclockwise circulation around that low pressure center. That's going to bring some snow showers to the Black Hills region. So Buffalo, South Dakota, all the way up into Lemon, South Dakota. Bismarck, you'll see some snow as well. So as we get started, it'll be later this evening. If you do have a question, drop a comment, and I have more questions for you coming up here in a minute. I want you to chime in with where you think we will see 1 foot of snow. A couple of facts. This is a Colorado-style low-pressure system. It's bringing its own moisture. That means these south winds ahead of it are digging moisture out of the central plains and the southern plains and wrapping it all the way up into the northern plains here, allowing for some heavier snow potential. Let's get through this forecast, though, as we go through the nighttime hours between 7 o'clock. Here we'll have bands of showers setting up at 9 o'clock tonight. Not the heaviest, but look at this. Between Minneapolis and Fargo, some areas will briefly get some moderate to heavy snowfall there, making things a little slippery on those roads between the Twin Cities and Fargo. Look at that. Just tracking I-94 right through. Now, as we go through the overnight hours, some of us will get a break. Meanwhile, some light snow continues up north. Here comes the heavy precipitation setting up shop, bing, 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 in Brookings, South Dakota. Now, as that low-pressure system develops there, we're going to increase the energy in the atmosphere, the lift in the atmosphere, and that's going to make more clouds, more snowflakes, more bigger snowflakes that bump into each other and stick together. That's snowball making kind of snow. Now, as you take a look at this system as we go towards daybreak, Fargo's not going to snow all night long, but as we go into the morning hours here towards daybreak, the heavier band of snow begins to set up. Meanwhile, down to the south, you see that sleet and icing? There's a potential for that. Hey, Kathy, good to watch you on. New to the channel, will St. Paul get good thunderstorms tonight? There's a chance. We'll go over your question here momentarily as you take a look at what's going on in Minneapolis. It looks like more snow after the rain shower. So yes, rain, maybe a rumble of thunder, but I wouldn't get too excited about that until we get into the overnight hours. Then this band here after midnight could bring a chance for some rumbles. This is the main lifting energy with this particular storm. I hope that helps you out, Kathy. All right, Cheryl, thanks so much. Good to have you watch it from Nadawash as you take a look at the morning forecast. Daybreak, some of the heaviest bands of snow set up then, just before, and will last right here in the valley into parts of west central Minnesota through the day. Now, check out the heavy rain taking place. This is where we really have to worry here. This is a low pressure center area here as well, a warm front area. And even though we do not have a lot of, let's say, summertime feel to this air mass, there's going to be some spin in the atmosphere over southeasternmost Minnesota. If you're in Rochester, if you're in Waseca, Mankato, in these areas, there'll be a chance for some weird weather going on there. Bev, good to have you on board. Thanks for watching, Susan, from northern Minnesota. Now, notice, up north, up in northern Minnesota in the morning, the heaviest of the snow not there. But here we go. Fargo gets set up shop between 6 and 8 a.m. again with a band of very heavy snow. This will also be when the wind will be the strongest. We'll review all of this in a few moments as well. Showers of very heavy rain moving over the I-29 corridor will continue to wrap their way through. Now, the snow blossoms as we go through midday. Notice Red River Valley, northern Minnesota, and even the I-94 corridor here setting up shop with some heavy bands of snow. So, northeast South Dakota, southeast North Dakota, and most of central Minnesota have a shot at some very serious snowfall potential as we go through the early morning hours, and it lasts the better part of the day, folks, before we start really losing the intensity of the snow. It starts tapering off a bit in the late afternoon hours. Notice this particular model has this snow lingering for a while before it gets cut off from the moisture supply, and that's it. And then we still have some passing showers. The wind will change direction and become more northerly. So if you have livestock out there, no matter where you are, most of this event is going to bring an easterly wind in our area. Southeasterly, easterly wind. That's going to cause the snow and the wind to drive that snow in that general direction from east to west, backwards of what we normally experience with wind. So keep that in mind as you're maybe protecting your livestock and newborn cattle and calves from the elements in this storm. All right, now let's take a look at what we have going on. That was a quick look at a model, the forecast, the National Weather Service forecast official right here. National Weather Service has hoisted winter storm warnings for the I-94 corridor. That's Jamestown to Fargo, all the way out to Duluth, north, Lake of the Woods County, including folks like Baudette, International Falls, all the way out to Ely, and straight south to areas just north of the Twin Cities. If you are in St. Cloud, you are in a winter weather advisory, more wet weather than the real heavy snow, but I'll show you here in a minute. We already got some snow that has accumulated on those areas. It quit now in Fergus. Debbie, thank you for your report. Fergus Falls getting a little break. You can actually see the radar data right here showing just about what you are observing right now as we look off into Otter Tail County. Most of the snow bands have moved up to the north of even the Fargo area. As I look outside, there's some sunshine trying to break through here in the Southern Valley. So this is surrounded here by these blue counties. This is winter weather advisories for the rest of the area that you see in blue here. Lower snowfall amounts expected there. Okay, hibernate until spring gets here. The question is, when will it arrive? If we asked our furry forecasting prognosticator, Punxsutawney Phil, what'd he have to say? Okay, let's take a look now then as we go through the forecast facts. Now, I did show you this particular model. Let's go ahead and take a look at a snapshot sequence. Snow tonight as we go to the 10 o'clock hour begins to intensify. Be where you want to be. Overnight, there will be a little bit of a lull, some getting rain in South Dakota. Fog, dense fog will be a problem in some areas. I'll show you where that's a problem right now. Again, we'll get to your input because you get a Help Hutch forecast here. I want to hear what you have, and maybe after this storm is all said and done, we'll take and pick towns and see which individual hit the right town with the foot of snow. If we get that much, I do think there's a legitimate shot at that with this particular storm. Heavy bands of snow setting up shop as we go toward that drive time in the morning. So it will be very tricky travel in some areas, and it will be when the wind will start increasing in our southern counties. These isobars near Fargo, very close together, will with gusts over 40 miles per hour possibility in that area in that 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. time frame. Now, the low pressure system moving into Minneapolis. Here is a look at that neat little triple point area, that warm front area, and we could see some rumbles of thunder with this system as we go through Minneapolis. The model cutting off some of the snow showers in Minneapolis and changing it back over to rain. But look at this band of heavy snow. It's not going to be this purple band of dark blue heavy snow sitting over Fargo for the entirety of the time, but there's going to be waves of these snow bands passing their way through the valley. And usually with systems like this, we get one intense band co-located here with this energy setup that's taking place right here, where we have what's called convective precipitation along that warm front. And there's some very heavy rain very next to it there as it's cold enough for snow, very heavy snow that will accumulate at maybe even rates greater than 2 inches per hour. And then a secondary band that sets up shop on the other side of the storm system. So now as we take a look at the forecast, this is subtly adjusted, but very similar to what I've been saying. Now, here is a map of North Dakota, South Dakota. There's Fargo, there's Grand Forks. We've got Grand Forks sitting in this 3 to 9 zone along with Fargo Moorhead. Now notice, we do have a sharp drop off north of Grand Forks. So I do think Grand Forks stands a serious bet at seeing that, say, 2 to 5 inches of snow, okay? But then as we get into the pink area, I've got this labeled 3 to 9 plus. It's inside this pink area here where most of us are going to get a solid 3 inches of snow, and some of us will get upwards of 9 inches of snow. And a few of us will have a chance for a foot of snow. Now, this model says where you see the darker pink colors, that's where we have a greater chance at seeing some more lofty snowfall totals. Look at this in Bemidji. Look at the Brainerd Lakes area out here. It starts cutting off if you go Brainerd and point south on this. So the point here is, most of the area will have a legitimate shot at 3 to 6 or more inches of snow. 9 to 12 inches of snow will be possible. I think we'll get a few readings with even a little bit more than that possible. 1 to 5 inches in all of the blue areas, where we'll have a trace of snow for some out west. Bismarck will get some snow out of the deal as well. As we take a look at the Fargo area, I think we have a great shot here. Richland County into Fergus Falls, Becker County, Park Rapids, Wadena. If you're in Staples, Motley, and out towards Brainerd, you're right on the cutting edge of where we're going to ramp up from this 1 to 5 inch category into that 3 to 9 plus inch category as well. So that's my forecast. I'm sticking to it. Thanks a lot for that. Now I want to ask you, drop a note right in here, drop a note and tell me what town you think might get 1 foot or more of snow. So go ahead, put it in the comments right here, watching between Parker's Prairie and Bertha. Hey, good to have you on, Kenneth. Thank you. And if you take a closer look at the map, you're kind of right on that precipice of where things really ramp up. So keep that in mind. Cheryl says never, never, never. Hopefully spring gets here sometime. Thanks for watching, Carol and Nevis. Now, as we continue to take a look at other factors in this storm, we're going to have difficult travel taking place as we go through. We'll have cancellations and delays across the area. So you may want to double check, particularly if you have air travel, what's going on with my planes either arriving and picking people up or not. There is the possibility for some power disruptions. This will be a very wet, heavy snow. And it's not coming with 60 or 70 mile per hour wind gusts. That really can be a problem. Icing can be a serious power disruption problem. But because of the weight of this heavy, wet snow, trees, branches, and such can be felled with winds and snow that is very heavy, and that can cause some problems. So it's not out of the question. I'm not saying it's going to happen. If you do have livestock, take appropriate precautions to protect those little fellas and fellettes from the rigors of the storm. If you're traveling, expect the potential for whiteout conditions in some of the heaviest bands of snow. I showed you where that low is going to be moving from southeast North Dakota into west central Minnesota. I do believe there'll be several places in that area that have very, very difficult travel conditions, and we'll keep you posted as to what's going on with that. So, all right, let's see. Guessing a base of 6 inches here in DL. Trevor, that sounds like a good base, and I think that's a very good spot to be in for heavy snow with this particular system. From, say, Fargo and Hawley out into the DL area and point south of there, I think we'll see a heavier band down there as well. All right, let's take a peek then as what we have going on as we look back at the forecast radar here, and I do want to point this out. Across our great nation, we do have some wild weather that'll be taking place. Look at this now. We'll back this up. Tonight, there is a risk of severe weather, but we're going to look at the model first. The storm, the Colorado low, forming right here in Nebraska, is going to roll out with a chance of some very healthy snowfall and thunderstorms. Snowfall up north, thunderstorms down south. Iowa, strong chance of some strong storms moving through northern parts of Missouri tonight. This trails down into Kansas. Also, some Oklahoma thunderstorms could be strong to severe. Now, these storms will have all modes of severe weather, but as we take you in a little bit closer, you see all of the nice light blue bright balls there. Those are, well, hail events. So hail, thunderstorms, and a few of them even having some signs of rotation. And some of these isolated cells that form out here by Muscatine, Iowa, and these individual cells forming in northern reaches of Missouri, not far from Macon, or well, how about Kirksville, Missouri? If you're in these areas, there is a possibility of a few rotating thunderstorms. Here's a look down south, Fort Smith, down towards Little Rock and Pine Bluff, a few spotty thunderstorms for tonight, overnight. How long do these storms last? Will they fizzle out overnight? Well, the energy from this storm is robust, and it will continue to churn overnight. Becomes a very heavy rain producer across most of the Corn Belt here in Iowa and northern Missouri. As we take a look as the storm system progresses into northern Illinois, Chicago, heavy rain and a few thunderstorms there. Notice this bowing line segment down here. It's kind of got this backward C shape. That's more of a cold front feature. This linear storm will be capable of some very stout winds. These isolated ones down here on the far south side, got to watch them for rotation, okay? They'll have their own energy to work with. Now, that's a look at the overnight into Wednesday morning. Those storms continue to march out, but we ain't done, because as we look into Missouri, As we go into the afternoon with the heating of the day, this is where I think we really could see some serious troubles with a threat for all modes of severe weather, including tornadoes. Could have an outbreak for a few areas. Now, tornadoes impact a very, very pinpointed area compared to a winter storm like we're experiencing here. But the fury of those storms is something that you just want to pay attention to. Any of these thunderstorms that are forming in the early onset between 2 and 6 p.m. will have that great risk at seeing a few of them producing some tornadoes. Now, notice that this line of storms will continue as we go through Wednesday evening and march out to the east. As they do, they'll go through Indianapolis, Lexington, Memphis, all the way through central parts of Tennessee. And then here comes round 3 as we go into the day on Thursday, developing in parts of Texas. So because we'll have waves of storm in the same area, this whole central portion of the United States will have some flooding concerns. Meanwhile, our storm system will be long gone, but the impacts of it with the snowpack on the ground will remain. If you have a question, let me know. Will we have school tomorrow in the Fargo area? That is a great question there. LOL Lockhart. Good to have you on board, and thanks for asking. There's a chance of school. That us weather people say that, and it's not our jobs to cancel it, but the morning things start to deteriorate, and then as we go into the afternoon, they could be some significant accumulations, even in the FM area. If you're up north, lower accumulations expected in the Grand Forks zone. But anybody in the Southern Valley, in the eastern third of North Dakota, we could even have a few bands of heavy snow setting up out in parts of the Devil's Lake Basin down to the James River Valley as well. So keep that in mind. Now, let's take you around the nation and take you around the area and show you the snowfall that's happened so far with this storm. And then I'll get back to it and we'll get to some more brief videos on focused topics with regard to this storm. Here is a look at snowfall reports so far. This storm all started out in the mountains of California, where we did get in the Reno area 1 to 2 feet of snow. 24 inches reported in Cisco, California. 20 inches reported at Twin Bridges as well. In and around the big lake out here at Tahoe, we do have numerous reports between 10 and 20 inches of snow. One at the North Star ski base out there, so some good skiing weather. Now, that storm did move through parts of western Montana. Look at this. As you go out towards East Helena, that's reporting 16 inches there, and out in Montana here in Lewistown, a good 8-inch report there. Now, in our neck of the woods, the big winner so far this morning, and this was just a light dose of snow, but it was heavy. That's Watertown. Watertown picking up 6 inches of heavy wet snow. And that is a look at our snowfall totals from our area. Findlay picking up 3 inches in Findlay. And a couple of inches reported this morning or today in Leader, Minnesota. We did get some reports of about 4 inches in Odessa and up and down the I-29 corridor between 4 and 6 inches reported, one of them from Summit. So what's it look like out there? Let me show you. Here are your concerns heading into the evening. We're going to go through the tri-state area, North Dakota first. Wet roads right now as temperatures have risen just a smidge. We do have some areas that do have some ice on the roads. Let's go down south where it's been snowing just a little bit more robustly. Here is a look at the Verona area. Certainly passable, and it's warmed up a bit for some watery or wet roads. I-94 out in West Fargo. Let's go out a little farther to the west. Castleton showing you here. We just have some snow in the ditches, otherwise wet. Get down into Richland County, things were a little bit heavier. Notice on the roadside here, we do have some more snow covering completely the field of snow out there. Up in Grand Forks in the Mayville area, let's go out here to the Buxton Exchange, and we do have some areas that had some light accumulating snow there. That's the concerns right now in North Dakota as the light snow has worked its way through. Now let's go to South Dakota. It was heavier down there. That's where we got the 6-inch report. That was down in that Watertown zone. I do want to point this out. There's some dense fog in parts of west central and southwest Minnesota and the I-29 corridor. So here we go. As you look at the Wilmot area there, we got the road crews out there working very hard to try to keep things and maintain our road surfaces out there. I-29 and South Dakota 15 rather, seeing some pretty significant snowfall in that particular area. And again, not too bad, but some areas of reduced visibility. Get up towards Sisseton. Here's what we got going on in that particular zone as you look at the I-29 corridor there. Snow on the side of the road. A little bit south and to the east here near Ortonville. This is where we start running into some areas of some dense fog and some reduced visibility with some slippery and icy roads. As we go down towards Watertown, this is where we have the 6-inch report of snow. And you can see here, not fun and definitely reduced visibility from the fog that's set up. We got moist air riding over the top of some snowpack there that's been less than friendly. If you get into that Webster area, we do have some tricky travel conditions there on the highways and byways in South Dakota. Now a peek at Minnesota. We do have some snow showers showing up, and our model shows that we do have a chance for some more significant snow in Minnesota as we go through the next 24 hours. Let's get right to it. West central Minnesota, we'll start with you in and around the Millbank and Ortonville area. We're getting a chance to warm up just a couple of degrees. That's helping out with some of the fog that was showing up on these cameras just a little bit earlier. Get up towards the Fairmount area, and was looking on the Tenney area, and we did get some snow covering the ground there. So for now, that area not looking too bad. Checking out the interstate, let's go down to the area near and around the Downer area. We do have some light snow, even what looks like some melting ice off the camera lens there. And this is a look at good old Lake Park, Highway 10 looking open, some areas of patchy fog, a possibility. So that's what's going on right now across the area. I see, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, me too. We'll see what we end up getting with this, but the potential is there for some significant snow. So with the snow melting now in Fargo, does that mean we won't get that much snow? Drew, this amount of snow was never expected to be a lot here in the FM area. Around an inch or so, and I measured 1.5 inches, and some of that melted. So some of it did melt as it was coming down. The snowfall rates that will happen from tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up and you won't see that much in Fargo likely until we get to about the 7 to 9 o'clock time frame in the morning, and then it really starts adding up. So late tonight, we'll get another band move through. That'll be wave 2. But the main wave starting tomorrow, lasting from around that 7, 8 a.m. time frame until around 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And actually, we'll have a better idea of where that heavy band sets up, right? Because so many factors are involved in a storm like this, including temperature and moisture, that we'll have to see where that heavy band decides on setting up. But all eyes and all minds and all models are on board with some very heavy snow. So that's a good question. Wonderful question. It's snowing here in Park Rapids. It is snowing. Lorene, thank you very much for your report there. How much snow tonight for the Beaver area? Overnight tonight, I'm not expecting a ton more snow until we get toward daybreak, and then things really start opening up. The skies start opening up. So tomorrow is the big day for Beaver, and it does look like we'll have several inches in and around that area, and you would definitely be in that 3 to 9 category for you. So that's just what you need to know there, Ashley. Snowing in Bemidji now as we take a look up north. Thank you very much. I haven't seen any plow trucks in Fargo with really just slush on the ground. We're okay for now, and we're going to get a little bit of a break as we were discussing here with this storm system as we're working our way into the evening hours. So now a quick walkthrough of your forecast real quickly for the overnight. Tonight, temperatures dropping down to 31, east winds. Overnight, around a snow that begins at around that, say, 7 to 10 time frame, okay? A band of heavy snow will work its way north. Meanwhile, down south, rain pushes in. That will kind of dry up in the hours of the overnight as it shifts north, and the main low starts moving up. And then, as we head into the daybreak hours between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., it's on. We're going to get that heavier band of very wet snow, and that will be when the windiest of the wind starts gusting around the area. And, you know, it's going to have a hard time blowing around some of this heavy wet snow, but if it starts accumulating and the temperatures drop even just a few degrees, it's definitely going to bring some pretty tricky travel conditions, some blowing and some drifting of the snow. So as we go into the tomorrow time frame, this is what you can expect in the afternoon. In the afternoon, the low pressure system moves off to the east. Some of the heavier bands of snow stay put in the valley and points east. It will start ending out to the west. So if you're in Bismarck to Jamestown and maybe even out toward Devil's Lake, you should be seeing the snow ending by the afternoon hours as it continues to move off to the east. Still very tricky travel, heavy bands of snow, but the gusts of the wind, those too will start tapering off just a pinch as we head into those evening hours. So keep that in mind there. 7-day planner, check this nonsense out. After the snow goes, I have been saying for the last couple of days that if we get significant snow in Fargo, which I think we will, if we get, say, 3 to 9 inches, I think we'll be closer to that maybe 5 to 7. If we're in that 5 to 7 area for Fargo, I think we'll be in that 5 to 7 area for Detroit Lakes, or even more for your neighbors just to the north in Park Rapids and possibly out towards Bemidji. These areas will have low temperatures in the teens the next couple of days, because that snow just has a way of helping us cool off during those overnight hours, particularly on clearer nights. And overnight Thursday into Friday morning, I think, may be the clearest. So that's why I've got the 13 there, different than what you're going to see in some other reports in all likelihood across the area. Hi, Trevor. Good to have you on board. Guessing a base of 6 here in DL. That's a good base. Yep. And Becky says thank you, and I thank you for watching. And let's see, is it going to be tomorrow for Bemidji to get the most? You know what, Tanya, you're going to be right in or close to that path for very heavy snow. I think, Park Rapids and Bemidji down south into, say, let's go with eastern Otter Tail County. I think you folks will have a really good bet at seeing some of the heavier bands of snow. But basically, anybody in the warned area, the winter storm warning area, and even next to it could see some pretty heavy snow. All right, if we have any other questions, I do have a graphic here if I can pull it up for you. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know what I did with it here. This is a look at some wind gusts. So as the storm system takes hold between 8 a.m. and noon on Wednesday, it really gets going tomorrow. The wind gusts will be some of the strongest ones closer to the center of low pressure. So Otter Tail County, what does this mean? This means these are the areas that I expect to have the best chance at seeing whiteout and or blizzard-like conditions. It's no fun out to the west with 36-mile-per-hour gusts either, but the heaviest of the snow will be exiting that area first. So the difficulty here is it snowing, is the wind blowing, and will it last for 3 or more hours? If so, that's the definition of a blizzard. So this is not a blizzard warning, but we do have some areas where briefly for a couple of hours, maybe a little bit more, we could see some gusts here and there, pushing up over 40 miles per hour. So that's a look at that. Okay, if there's no other questions, I think that does it. Kim, thank you very much for joining. Let's see, I hope it gets over a foot of snow in Fargo, Luke says. Thanks for your optimism there. In fact, Hutch is going to go out right now and start his snowblower just to ward off the snow, because I don't want a foot of snow myself. I'm really tired of shoveling. 12.01 in Ashtabula, says Timothy Haas. All right, that's a bet right there. We'll see what happens for you. Stopped snowing in Brainerd after about 2 hours and about 1/4 of an inch. That sounds about right. When it comes down and it takes the better part of the day, it's been snowing all day here in Fargo, and I measured 1.5 inches. What falls out of the sky is more than we can measure because much of it does melt and it does compact. When it starts coming down heavier, though, we're going to have a little bit more of a problem, and that will likely be most evident tomorrow in the morning hours and through the early to mid-afternoon hours. So that is a look. I think, and I hope I've addressed most of your questions, and I thank you for joining me. I also want to throw out a huge thank you to all of you out there who have taken the time to head on over and click the follow button on my Facebook page here. Do you know that over 61,000 now are following Hutch on Facebook? It's a big help because it helps Facebook deliver my content to more and more people, and that helps me. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, a big salute to you as well. And why? Because over 7,000 people are now following me on my YouTube channel, and that continues to grow as well as it's getting used more and more. Still snowing in Staples, had a slight break. Has been snowing pretty consistently since 11. Christine, thank you so very much for your report. Much appreciated. Out there in the Staples area on a good old Highway 10 and Highway 210 intersection. Thank you so much. So thanks a lot. Remember, on hutchesweather.com, you can get the latest road conditions. My live videos would show up at the top, but if you missed the live video, have no fear. It's okay, because guess what? Down below, Hutch has a little bit more information on my latest videos that you can see posted right there. So you can always visit hutchesweather.com for road information. And do you know, when we were talking about the snowfall reports, I've even put that on here for you with my good friend Joe. Everybody say thanks, Joe. See the snowfall amounts button? You click on that puppy and it takes you to that US map. If you've reported the snow and it gets passed on to the Weather Service, it's going to show up on this particular graphic if it's a legit report. So that's a look at what's going on right now. Thanks for checking the latest on hutchesweather.com. Coming up, the new models are crunching right now. I'll have an update for you just a little bit later. You're watching Hutch's Weather. I appreciate each and every one of you. Keep fluid travel plans. Don't be out on the roads if you don't have to overnight tonight and through much of the day tomorrow. There's going to be breaks in the storm. We're going to get some lulls in the storm. There's going to be some areas that get very little snow, but that doesn't mean if you're traveling over the hills and through the woods, you won't run into some big snow. Again, thanks for watching and have a great evening. I'll check back in a little bit later.